Changes in the air this week as the total lunar eclipse in Pisces approaches on September 7th. And like all eclipses, this one brings change and interruption to the daily flow of life. And because it's a lunar eclipse, it is a full moon. And like a full moon, it brings an ending, a culmination, or something culminating. Eclipses are a little bit more intense, a little bit more erratic, and a lot more significant than a regular new or full moon. Luckily, this eclipse feels very supportive for the most part, and it feels really fortunate. So, because it's Pisces, you might be called to listen to your intuition, to honor your feelings, to kind of honor that mystical dreamscape that Pisces represents. And at the same time, the astrology of this eclipse might encourage you to take a little bit of a risk or go more in the direction of your dreams. And I know that sounds corny, but this eclipse is ruled by, in making a really gorgeous aspect to Jupiter, the planet of growth, expansion, opportunity, optimism, liberation, spiritual wisdom, because it's exalted in the sign of Cancer that it is currently in right now. So there's a lot to talk about. We'll talk about the astrology of this eclipse as well as what to know for your rising sign. I'm Alexander Creek, astrologer and intuitive. Welcome back to my channel. Thanks for listening to the podcast. If you're listening to the audio version, we're going to be talking all about the astrology of this eclipse. Make sure that you like the video. If you like what you're watching or listening to, leave me a comment, letting me know maybe kind of what you're going through, what your sign is, how this astrology is impacting you. And last but certainly not least, make sure that you are subscribed to either the channel, turn on those notifications, or that you are following me from whatever podcast app you're listening to. So let's go ahead and talk about the astrology of this eclipse in Pisces. So first things first, I'm still doing the summer sale that is going to the end of summertime. So the last day will be the 21st of September. I'm also offering eclipse readings as well. If you want a kind of a shorter peek and don't want to do a full astrology reading, but want to know, hey, something's going on, I want to know cosmically what's happening, I'll walk you through the astrology of the eclipses, this one, the next one in Virgo, all the transits happening for you around the next 6 months, and generally kind of walk you through how to navigate this cosmic weather that you're walking through. So I'll leave the link to that in the comments in YouTube or on the show notes in the whatever podcast app you are listening to, or you can simply head to my website, dogstaroracle.com as well. So, okay, so let's talk about the astrological background of this energy, and then we'll talk about horoscopes for each of the 12 signs. So, eclipses, much more intense than usual new and full moons. In this case, it is a full moon since it's a lunar eclipse, like I mentioned in the beginning of this video, and this one occurs in the sign of Pisces. And this is not the first eclipse that we've had in this series. It's maybe important to kind of go back to September 2024, because that is when we had our first eclipses in Virgo and Pisces. And that might have been the beginning of some kind of story, because eclipses don't really happen in a vacuum. They're tied together kind of in their themes. And you can look at the house topics of where Virgo and Pisces falls for you in your chart. For example, if you are, say, Sagittarius rising, Virgo would be your 10th house of career, of public and professional reputation, authority figures. 4th house would be home and family. So, approximately for the past year or so, perhaps there have been some shakeups in these areas of your chart, especially around these eclipses. So these could definitely be tying back to a recurring theme happening. There could be something new kind of happening, but it would be around these different kind of house topics. And remember, your chart is unique like everyone else's. Not every rising sign is going to be the exact same, but it is helpful to look at where Virgo and Pisces would land in your chart. You could also peek at when we've had other Virgo Pisces eclipses, just in general. The last time that we had them, the previous series of eclipses we had from March 2015 through February 2017. And you might want to think back to that period of time and be like, okay, what was occurring in my life around that time? And again, it may not be the exact same story, and it probably won't be, but there could be echoes of the past kind of, with these eclipses kind of tying everything together. I know for me, Virgo and Pisces are significant in my chart. I actually have Pisces is my 5th house of romance, of creativity. But there's also a lot of other stuff going on for me in Pisces. It's also my IC. So There's home and family themes for me. Virgo is my 11th house of groups and friends and hopes and aspirations for the future, but it's also where my midheaven is in my chart. So there's a lot of career themes for me. And that period of time from March 2015 to February 2017 was really when I started doing readings for the first time. Started being introduced to the public. It was a very, very busy time in my life, and I felt like a very kind of faded feeling. And that's because it's significant for me, but eclipses can also feel more faded because of the proximity to the nodes. This lunar eclipse is a full moon, and it is also near the north node. And the north and south node have this very faded kind of charged energy to them. And when the sun and when the moon are close to the nodes, time just feels weird. And there is this sense of major endings and beginnings that happened around eclipses. And these major endings and beginnings or different kind of eclipse events may happen right near the date of the eclipses or right on the date of the eclipse themselves. But sometimes these eclipse events can take place like 1.5 to 2 weeks before and after the eclipses. It's like this window of time where things can kind of just happen. And it's also important to know too that because eclipses aren't this like isolated thing, it's like the energy can kind of reverberate from an eclipse for months too. And for example, a solar eclipse, it tends to be more of a new beginning and something that might be really significant, but we may not realize it at the time. It can kind of like reverberate out for months. Lunar eclipses tend to be more noticeable, right? Because it does tend to be kind of this culmination sort of event. So this particular lunar eclipse in Pisces that we're going to talk about today is more of this completion, endings, culmination kind of energy that we're just kind of, I think, really, really notice, and it's going to be really, really loud. So, but just know that this week, time can feel weird, and there's certainly kind of a sense of change in the air. And also this eclipse season just kind of tends to interrupt the flow of daily life and its rhythms. For a personal example, I'm actually moving. So this is the last time that you are going to see like this background that I have. I've been in this apartment for 3 years. I'm sure there's some astrological cycle I could go back and look at, like the timing of me moving into this apartment. But this eclipse is happening on my IC. Again, home and family. I just had the last full moon in Aquarius is actually in my 4th house of home and family as well. And I was like apartment hunting. But I'm moving in with a friend. I'm really excited. It's going to be a nicer apartment. My background hopefully look a lot cooler. But as soon as this video is done and it's uploaded, I'm packing, I'm moving, I'm organizing. So there's that Virgo part of I have to be efficient, analytical, plan, organize, and also the Pisces of just like, I kind of have to embrace the mess a little bit. But as soon as this video is done, I'm like, Dr. Oracle's logging off, man, for about a week or so. So yeah, the eclipse is definitely hitting me as well. Like I mentioned, this lunar eclipse takes place near the North Node in Pisces. And also, this lunar eclipse, I don't know if I mentioned, it's a total lunar eclipse. There are different like kinds of eclipses and kind of like ranging in intensity, sort of depending how far or close they are to the nodes. This is a total lunar eclipse. I don't believe it's visible in the United States. I didn't really look. I feel like if it was, we'd be hearing more about it. It's going to be visible in other parts of the world. I'll have to look. And there's also this thing about like, cities and places kind of in the direct path of the eclipse are like more like affected by it, or there's more like events that happen kind of local to that area. But that's kind of beyond the subject. I don't even know. I don't even know why I'm mentioning that right now, to be honest with you. But so let's talk about what the Pisces part of this eclipse means and what the North Node parts of this eclipse means. So the North Node I'm going to move this screen over here. Hold on. So there's kind of 2 ways that I tend to look at the North and South Node. The North and South Node are not actually like planetary bodies. They are like mathematical points. Something about how like the Earth, Sun, and Moon kind of all intersect. And where the North and South Node are, they're in the same. They're in like a pair of signs for about like 18 months or so, and that's where we have eclipses. And so I look at it from like an evolutionary astrology perspective and also a traditional astrology perspective. So with the North Node, part of it is kind of where we are going toward, kind of lessons that we need to learn, something that we sort of need to embrace. And South Node, it tends to be about kind of what we are letting go, what we're purging and releasing. And really, the truth of the matter is the nodes are kind of about balancing these two themes. So the South Node is in Virgo right now. So, the South Node is really bringing extra attention to things like letting go, purging, releasing. And there is this sort of extra, we're in Virgo season right now, and there's this extra like purifying, detoxification, decluttering, vibe to Virgo season. There's already that vibe in Virgo season anyway of like, I'm going to get organized, I'm going to get efficient, we're going to be taking care of things in that sort of Virgo list making way. But this one feels extra emphasizing the letting go part, getting rid of, detoxifying, letting go what no longer serves, yada, 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 because of the presence of that South Node. And when we look at the North Node, Pisces is on the North Node. So in some way, it's like the Virgo South Node is saying, yes, definitely look at things with critical analysis, get organized, get healthy, but at the same time, we sort of want to embrace this North Node in Pisces. It's sort of embracing this compassion, imagination, extreme sensitivity, the poetic and artistic and very psychic energy that Pisces represents. And because Virgo likes to make lists and look at facts and details, Pisces is sort of okay at like living in the mystery and like, I got a message in my dream last night and it told me to do this. There's like this mystery aspect to Pisces. And so we're sort of supposed to be, this eclipse is going to really kind of connect us into our feelings, honoring our intuition, kind of going with our gut and going with the vibe, essentially. And, part of how you can understand how each sign works in astrology and how each planet works is by paying attention to the concept known as essential dignity. And that is simply saying like each planet like has a certain set of signs that it tends to be really strong in and has a certain set of signs that it can be more challenged or unconventional in. And Mercury, for example, the planet of communicating and disseminating information and messages, it rules Gemini and Virgo, two signs that are very much about facts, details, information, and it tends to be, and it's also fallen and in detriment in the sign of Pisces because Mercury likes to have clear factual information. And Mercury in Pisces is more of the manifestation of like an oracle or a poet, or like it's not going to get the message like Mercury in Pisces is not going to be saying, my spirit. Mercury in Pisces is more about like getting messages from the universe, seeing angel numbers, writing a poem or a song about it rather than just sort of like the clear, straight facts. So you can kind of start to understand the energy of Pisces in this eclipse that way. It's like messages in your dreams, listening to your intuition and your feelings and kind of just embracing what we are feeling is very much a strong component of the eclipse and something that we are supposed to kind of lean into in this eclipse. And it's going to make that Pisces energy very loud. So that's sort of what we are connecting to. And like I mentioned, there's the evolutionary versus traditional way of kind of looking at the nodes. The North Node also is about desire and hunger and like increase in more and also like beginnings too, I think. And so the North Node being in Pisces, it's sort of like we're going to be craving like a sense of closeness, that sense of compassion, listening to our intuition more, that kind of thing. But also there is this beginnings feel to it and a like a new phase, a fortunate kind of energy as well with this eclipse. And okay, so this eclipse, I just feel like there's so much about like trusting the force and trusting your vibes and a very expansive energy to this eclipse. This eclipse is in Pisces and it is ruled by Jupiter in Cancer, which I have talked about Jupiter in Cancer a number of different times on this podcast. But I also talked about last week about how on September 1st, the planet Saturn is moving out of Aries and back into Pisces. And thus, it is getting the fuck out of Jupiter's way. Since May 2024, we've had this ongoing Jupiter Saturn square. Saturn is a planet of containment, of delay, structure, order, the way things need to be. And it's been in a harsh aspect with Jupiter the entire time Jupiter was in Gemini and a big chunk of Jupiter in Cancer. And because it is now in a trine based aspect with Jupiter, and Saturn is actually in Pisces itself, it is in a sign ruled by Jupiter. There is this like supportive energy from Saturn. It's like instead of sort of kind of getting in the way, it's sort of helping us build and sort of give some support to Jupiter itself. Because we had this kind of construction expansion thing for the last several months. And so Jupiter, the planet of growth, expansion, magnification, optimism, blessings. That planet is the ancient ruler of Jupiter. So looking at Jupiter in Cancer and what it's doing is really important. So Jupiter is exalted in the sign of Cancer. When I was talking about essential dignity, exaltation is one of those things in essential dignity. Jupiter is like raised up and elevated. It sort of does what Jupiter does best in the sign of Cancer. And it's like really protective and nurturing, and it's really protective and nurturing in Cancer, and is really capable of, I think, bringing some long-term growth and long-term good in the sign of Gemini. And so that is a really fortunate thing that's kind of guiding this eclipse energy. And the eclipse itself is at 15 degrees, which is making a pretty close mathematical trine, a harmonious aspect in astrology to Jupiter itself. Let me actually show you on my little screen. If you're on YouTube, I'm sharing a screen so you can see the astrology. So the eclipse is at 15 degrees with the moon. It's making it's actually applying to Jupiter. So that means like it's building toward this exact trine with Jupiter. So there's this really, I think, hopeful energy with this eclipse. And so the feeling of faith, of gut knowing, expansion, and sort of feeding the optimism and feeding the good is what anchors this eclipse. And I also want to say, Jupiter is associated with luck, and that can definitely kind of be the case, but it's also about what you put into Jupiter. It sort of gives back to you. So it's really important to focus on like your highest good, your passions, the things that you want to move towards with this eclipse. It's like you want to put that energy sort of into it. So there's this beneficial, protective influence, this eclipse, that promotes growth, expansion, and kind of moving toward, your highest good. And it also does. So of course, it's going to activate the Pisces part of your chart, but also the Cancer part of your chart. And also because it's Jupiter, this can sort of be like, hey, let's take a little bit of a risk. Let's, kind of go on some kind of adventure and just see what happens. And eclipses can have, frankly, a unstable or erratic quality to them, which is why people tell you to not manifest on an eclipse. I don't have a problem with that because I'm so lazy with manifesting a shit anyway that I'm like, I don't have time. But if you are the type to like want to do magic and rituals and manifest things into your life, eclipses are not recommended to do magic because eclipses are sort of like where the universe slash God really kind of intervenes in your life. It's kind of about surrender. It's not that you're not supposed to make big moves or accomplish things or do things around eclipses. It's just saying, like, hey, maybe save that candle magic for a couple days afterward. Just because it's like when you're doing magic, you want the elements of the universe to kind of flow in your favor and not like, you know, I don't know. And I'm not saying things could go horribly wrong, but that's just general good practice and a good guideline for this eclipse. And but that being said, eclipses do have kind of a sudden quality sometimes, but there is a positive and healing energy to this one. The only thing that is a little concerning, but I don't think a deal breaker by any means is that Jupiter in Cancer, the ruler of this eclipse, is going to be square Mars in Libra. Jupiter Mars aspects can be about like acts of courage, taking a big swing, leadership, and a square can be a more challenging aspect. So this, I think, is an action oriented eclipse. You could be taking a big swing, having, there's some sort of act of courage. For some of us, some of the less enlightened people, there could be people out there making dumb decisions or being kind of foolhardy. Jupiter is also known for excess gambling and sort of taking a chance when you probably shouldn't, you know? So I just really think make sure that your actions, if you're taking a big swing, is aligned with your higher self. And this isn't like, yeah, I'm going to put $5,000 into this get rich quick scheme or this stock that I think is going to go, and it's like this. It's sort of like align your actions to your higher wisdom is really kind of what I'm feeling with this eclipse. But there is action with this eclipse. It's saying, what's the worst that could happen? And I also, think this could give you the energy to kind of conquer your fears a little bit because Jupiter is making a dynamic aspect to Mars, the planet of courage and passion and action. There's this like also need to be like a little diplomatic, I think, during this eclipse as well. There's sort of perhaps a vibe of kind of putting one's foot in one's mouth a little bit because it is aspecting Mars and Libra. That planet Mars has been in Libra for a few weeks now, and there has been this sort of extra emphasis on the need to be tactful and not use words as weapons. So that can certainly kind of, be connected to this eclipse. But I think this energy can sort of help us access courage and leadership and just take a risk and frankly, do the thing. So when did Mercury go into Virgo? Wow, that was quick. I didn't even realize. Okay. So I will say also, you know what? I didn't even realize this. Bad astrologer. Mercury, the planet of communication, goes into Virgo on September 2nd. So that is noteworthy to mention. It will be in Virgo for just a couple weeks. It looks like it's pretty quick, from September 2nd through September 18th. So, a little over 2 weeks. Mercury, like I mentioned, of communication and disseminating information, it is now in a sign that it rules and is actually exalted in. Bottom line, when it comes to organizing, getting your list done, taking care of things, writing your emails, your correspondences, that you're going to have a little bit easier time with details and kind of just executing these tasks. So it feels like this week around the eclipse, it's like really lean into that Pisces energy, but afterward, or, during it, it's like we're still going to be we're really going to be capable of things like, critical analysis, right? I would also probably keep in mind, in case I don't have a video before then, the date of September 13. September 12, September 13. We have a Mercury Cazimi in Virgo. Mercury essentially being in the heart of the sun around that time. That can really give you a lot of extra clarity, information, a light bulb moment, especially concerning the Virgo part of your chart. And again, like I mentioned, we always have duality with eclipses and full moons in general because there is this focus on the Pisces side here, but also the Virgo side. There's this a critical analysis that need to be real, to be practical. That's kind of that is connected to this eclipse. We get this major Pisces energy, and we also get really major Virgo energy a few days after as well with that Mercury Gazimi. So enough of me rambling. Let's look at each rising sign and talk about the what you can expect for your rising sign. Again, I do recommend listening for your rising sign or your ascendant if you have an accurate birth time. If you do, if you know your birth time, you can certainly go calculate that on the internet. I recommend astro.com, astro-seek. You can also listen for your sun or your moon as well. I recommend listening to the rising first and then blending in that information. If you want, the rising is probably going to be the most accurate for you. At this point, you can go down into the chapters on YouTube and click on your rising signs chapter. If you're listening to the audio version, go ahead and scroll to the show notes on whatever platform you are listening to and look for the timestamp and just seek to that timestamp. So let's go ahead and get going. Okay, Aries rising. The eclipse, let me actually show my screen again real quick. I always do this too, Aries rising. My apologies. So, Aries, there's an ongoing story with you and the 6th and 12th houses of your chart. So, North Node in the 12th house, where the Pisces eclipse is happening, definitely is sort of giving it's like a time to go inward, or it's a time to have like a little alone time or private time, or like prioritize mental health, spiritual health, rest, like getting out to nature, something along those lines. There's like mystical healing to be found in the quiet kind of recesses of your life. Definitely a good time for meditation, journaling, pulling a tarot card, something like that. It could also be about a secret being revealed, previously hidden information from you being revealed as well, because the bright full moon, eventually bright lunar eclipse happening in that 12th house of your chart. It could also be like that you're like having some kind of breakthrough when it comes to like mental and spiritual health, or things like that, or things that are previously unknown, like unconscious thought patterns or hidden emotions that you're carrying around, can be like really released on this eclipse, because this can be a really, really big release for you. Also keep in mind that the topics around home and family are active for you as well, as this eclipse is ruled by Jupiter. So there could be some expansion or growth or healing themes connected to parents, family, where you're living, expansion in your living situation. And also keep in mind too, because the sun in Virgo is activating that 6th house of physical health. It could be a connection like physical body health, work routines, needing to balance out the grind of life with your mental and spiritual health sort of comes to mind for you with this eclipse. Taurus rising. So themes for you with these eclipses since September 2024, by the way, is connected to the 11th house of your friends, the groups of people around you, colleagues, people who support you, people who do you favors, clubs and groups that you belong to, social media groups. If you're an influencer, if you have like a larger platform, these are your fans or followers as well. This part of your chart also has to do with your hopes and wishes and goals for the future. So, perhaps maybe we are reaching some kind of goal, or there's some culmination or something coming to a head with what you're wanting to manifest, or what you're wanting to achieve. It could certainly be something with that. You could be starting there could be some sort of event or something there could be just a lot more, frankly, activity and maybe even connection among like your friend group, or perhaps there's like mystical or spiritual experiences that is sort of connecting you to like-minded, to similar people, or there's healing to be found in like collaboration and connection with this sort of larger sense of community. So that's kind of happening for you. Keep in mind, this is buoyed by Jupiter in Cancer. It could be Jupiter and Cancer in your third house. So it could be that there's expansion, growth, opportunity, healing for you to be found in like learning or studying something, learning or studying something new, some sort of new form of transportation or your commute, something, some sort of growth you're feeling in the connection to like your immediate environment, neighbors, siblings could like provide, or like your local community could sort of like add. There's something like supportive or optimistic from about this like energy for you. And also it could be like, just sort of expanding there's a connection to like expanding the mind for you with this eclipse. But keep in mind, these eclipse themes have kind of been at play since September 2024. We had that first set of eclipses last year, and also earlier this year. I believe it was, hold on, when we have I need to look up the dates of these eclipses in 2025. 2025 was when we had an eclipse in Virgo, just FYI, in case you wanted that date. So, Gemini. These are more intense eclipses for you guys, since these are angular placements for you. Because Gemini is a mutable sign like Virgo and Pisces, you're probably going to be feeling this a little bit more. Maybe it's more noticeable. So this is a very visible eclipse for you. It's a big, bright, full moon lunar eclipse in your 10th house of career, of authority figures. Your professional status, professional goals, things connected to work. Perhaps someone's leaving in connection to your work. Perhaps you've accomplished a goal, or there's a big project, or there's simply a lot of energy connected to work for you right now. There is something going on between work and career, and also money, that does feel pretty fortunate and feel pretty expansive. It's like maybe you're kind of getting ready for like the next chapter of something, like you're ending one chapter and beginning another. Or perhaps like you're feeling like you just sort of like need a refresh or a reset in your work space or in your career space. Again, this is ruled by Jupiter in Cancer in the second house of money. There's something maybe about like expanding what you do or how you bring in money, or perhaps you are feeling just supported by like, your sources. Like there's something supportive about like your sources of income, and like in connection to this eclipse, like there's a link between money and career stuff. And again, this really sort of fortunate, like go toward the light kind of energy with this that feels really expansive. So it could be giving promotion, it could be giving new job or raise or something that would like be with like better money or benefits for some of you. If you're self-employed, it could be like, I'm ready for the next phase. I'm ready to try something new or add something into what I'm doing. So career and money feels fortunate connection to this eclipse. There is a lot going on with home stuff for you, Gemini rising. We'll get to that kind of with the solar eclipse in Virgo coming up in 2 weeks. Cancer rising. Love this eclipse for you. Because it is ruled by Jupiter in your sign. So we have this lunar eclipse, this completion, culmination energy happening, really kind of directing you toward the ninth house is the house of God, or excuse me, I said God, the house of God in astrology. It's like where we connect with the universe, where we expand our minds. It's connected to long distance travel. It's connected to philosophy and higher education and our spirituality. These really kind of lofty kinds of themes. And this eclipse it's connecting you to this mystical dreamscape Pisces energy. It's really lighting this part of this chart. It's really lighting up this part of the chart for you. So, there's something about like maybe you're completing some kind of education program. Maybe you're making travel plans around this time. Maybe you're just feeling ready, like you want to have some kind of adventure, or just, expand your mind somehow. It's sort of what it's kind of connecting to. There may be an ongoing story with travel, with learning new things, with classes, education. Since September 24, maybe since March of this year, as Pisces and Virgo have been very active for you with with the eclipses being in these signs and in your third and ninth houses. What was I going to say? For a select few of you, it could also be a fortunate conclusion of some kind of legal matter, as well as ninth house can be kind of legal things as well. But I think the bottom line is that this lunar eclipse and full moon being guided by Jupiter in Cancer, which again, I think it's really kind of in its full glory right now. Perhaps you're in personal circumstances where you feel like personal growth, like a new kind of adventure. Maybe you feel protected and nurtured, and also like it's okay to sort of take that step and kind of spread your wings a little bit. You might just feel more philosophical, more spiritual, wanting to learn new things or wanting to travel, as Jupiter in your first house can often indicate. And it can often just indicate personal opportunities for you as well. It depends where Jupiter is relative to that exact ascendant. But this is, I think, a time to really kind of spread your wings and let go of the past, Cancer rising. It's like, it's just sort of giving, like, embrace new adventure, embrace the new, embrace growth. I really like this eclipse for you. So Leo rising. This eclipse is activating your 8th house. It really activates both the 2nd and 8th houses. We'll talk more about the 2nd house when we get to that solar eclipse for our toward the on September 21st. But there's the eclipse story for you can be really tied up in money and personal resources. Personal resources, money, and also the resources and money that you are connected to with like other people. So the eclipse falls in the 8th house. The 8th house is credits, debt, loan, taxes, inheritance, that kind of money. So there can be some sort of release of something. Maybe we're paying something off, or there's like a culmination of some sort of financial matter. Perhaps it is about a person, like a partner that we are connected to, having some kind of financial thing. It does look more fortunate. That is not always the case. Or sometimes it can sort of appear. Sometimes it can kind of appear to be challenging or negative. Sometimes. Because the 8th house can still be a challenging house, but since it's guided by this really beautiful Jupiter, I do feel like it's going to be good in the end. There's some sort of positive in the end for you. Hold on. So like you could be hearing that you got approved for a loan or refinancing something, or or we're working on our estate, our will, looking at life insurance, kind of these boring kinds of things, but have to do with the topic of mortality, as the 8th house indicates. It also could be a big time for like emotional release and healing, because the 8th house often can be about trauma and loss, and where we've experienced that in our lives. And this energy being guided by beautiful Jupiter in your 12th house of subconscious, of mental health and spiritual healing, I'm really kind of feeling like there's some kind of blessing in disguise for you, if not outright blessing. And kind of Leo rising, I just kind of feel like this is a time to kind of go deep and like release something. This is like time to forgive someone. This is time to let something go emotionally. This is time to sort of, just sort of like let the universe, like just sort of set your intention to release sort of whatever is holding you back energetically, emotionally. This eclipse time might be good for you to take some kind of spiritual bath. To cleanse yourself with sacred smoke, to get like a Reiki session or something like that, because I feel like you're clearing away something, or releasing something, or even like releasing some tears, crying it out a little bit is kind of what it feels like to me. It also could be like understanding or having some kind of release or culmination in connection with like the intimacies of our emotional relationships, because the 8th house is like entanglements. It's like where we are entangled with other people's energy, money, and emotions. So it's sort of like, oh, I've been carrying around that because that's your thing, and I kind of let it go, or something like that. But that's generally kind of what I see for you here, Leo. Virgo rising. Okay, so Virgo rising, you're obviously kind of a star of this eclipse. It is Virgo season after all. The eclipses are in Virgo and Pisces. On one level, there's changes, endings, releasing what isn't you anymore, the clothes you wear, kind of how you present yourself to the world and kind of how you live your life. Definitely like big personal changes in your identity itself, right? Around this eclipse. And kind of just happening for you, I think, since last year, since late last year, but really kind of ramping up the March eclipses and also with these eclipses as well. You will have, Mercury in Virgo helping you to make clear, critical thinking decisions and really kind of being at your best mentally, or maybe not mental health wise for all of you, but being able to just like get your shit done, make good decisions, communicate well. Excuse me. The eclipse itself is drawing your attention to partnership matters. So one-on-one relationships, your partnerships, companions, business relationships, roommates, one-on-one relationships that we have. Since the North Node is here, it's sort of like there can be an emphasis on connection, on partnership, collaboration, kind of merging with someone, really kind of surrendering to, ruthlessly, critically analyzing everything and kind of leaning into that beauty that could come with leaning on someone else, or, something with partnership. It could be an ending for some of you. I think though this energy with this eclipse is more fortunate, like things going to the next level for some of you. It's like if this is a romantic relationship, it could be like signifying that we're getting closer. It's sort of going into a new phase. We're sort of unlocking a new level of partnership. It's kind of more what it's feeling like. We could be, announcing that we're engaged, or announcing like there is a beneficial feeling when it comes to relationships and partnerships, provided that you've learned the lessons that Saturn has been really kind of, egging you, Saturn has been sort of delivering, because partnerships for many of you the past couple years may have felt challenging and limiting and kind of hard, because Saturn has been going through your 7th house of relationships, and it's just come back for a couple months. So there might be some theme of like, what have I learned in relationships in the past? But it's almost done. So that's exciting. It also, there could be something beneficial too about your friends, about community, about like getting together with like a club or a group, or joining something, or just getting together with more social things, and also kind of having your eye on what do you want for yourself in the future? What do you want to manifest? Because Jupiter is moving through your 11th house. It's sort of asking you to kind of wish upon a star a little bit with this eclipse, and like, just, I think really, again, it's like really focus on the positive. But there can be opportunity and expansion that come from friends with this eclipse, as well as looking at your hopes and wishes and dreams for the future, and really amplifying the good energy around that and putting good energy into that. So a lot about relationships for you and how they can benefit you. I really feel like it's like beneficial relationships like around this eclipse. So, all right, Libra. Okay, Libra rising. A lot to talk about for you too. Well, there's a lot to talk about with everybody, honestly. We're all doing it. We're all doing a good job. You know what's crazy? I usually take breaks when I record these rising signs, but I'm flying through it today. So, you got a little bit of stream of consciousness to me. So the eclipse is falling in your 6th house. So there's a focus and awareness on physical health, on your work grind, your work routines. There could be an ending, a culmination. So we could be changing jobs, getting a new job, changing something about our work routine that feels more expansive. And more positive, kind of focusing on like, I really want more space in my office. So kind of opening the windows and making more space for things, or cleansing and releasing something in connection to work and health as well. I'm not necessarily feeling like I'm going to go on like a physical detox. It could be for some of you, but it feels more like, what is the vibe of the stuff I'm putting into my body, my energy, my emotional energy, like cleansing and releasing something in connection to that. Maybe it's like a a relationship that needs healing in the workplace or something like that, kind of draw your attention to that and ask you to do some healing around that. And there could be an ending or a change in connection to an ongoing health matter. We could be like reaching some sort of new chapter, or we're like releasing something finally, or getting some news around like something related to health or a pet, or also something in connection to job as well. This is ruled by Jupiter in Cancer in your 10th house. Jupiter, the planet of expansion and growth, has been in your 10th house of career since June this year. You could be feeling that it really is time for expansion and change in your career, how you are seen in the public eye. You could simply feeling just really grateful for things going well in career if they're going well. If they're not, and you're like, I really feel like it's time for a change. I feel like it's like time for a new chapter. There's something about career and work that are linked with this eclipse. It also, for some of you, could be like a beneficial change in your public reputation or professional reputation coming in with this eclipse, or even something with like an elder or a mentor or benefactor helping you in connection to your career as well. Someone kind of stepping in and sort of helping you out a little bit. And that's also what Jupiter in the 10th house could represent. But something connection to, maybe you're wanting to put energy into promotion or raise or some elevation of status or bigger change in your career that is still to come. And this could sort of help give you the juice to make that happen. I want to say one more thing, Libra rising. I feel like spirits like you need to say this. The South Node is in your 12th house of mental health, spiritual health, your subconscious, and the hidden. So you're like, the more you release, Libra rising, I'm telling you to go to therapy or do something like that. Because the more you release from, your emotional body, thought patterns that aren't good for you, energy that isn't good for you, the better your physical health and work is going to be. Because what you release here with the North Node, it's going to help out what you release here with the South Node of Virgo is going to help out this North Node in your work and health sector. So just FYI. Scorpio rising. Okay, I forgot about that. So the eclipse is in your 5th house. 5th house represents children, romance, sexual energy, creative energy or passions, hobbies, recreation. So this could be that romance, that, a flirtation blossoms into a full-blown relationship. It doesn't necessarily feel like it could be an ending for some of you in that category, but if it's ending, it's like it's a good ending, or there's like a positive energy to it. There could be something relating to children or pregnancy as well. Or it could be, like for example, like a child accomplishes something in your life, or perhaps there's like a pregnancy announcement or something. Of someone like closely connected to you, possibly. It could be that you're really, really drawn towards creating something and putting something out there. It could be the fulfillment of a creative project. It's kind of funny because I've been working on my YouTube channel for like a year and a half, essentially. And right on time with this eclipse, my YouTube channel finally got monetized. So there's gonna be some ads, but that helps support me financially. So that's, I'm Scorpio rising. That's my 5th house is like YouTube stuff for me. It's creative projects. So it's kind of cool. So like, it's like, I think focusing on your heart, Scorpio rising, is sort of what I'm getting at. Like your heart and your fire, like the things that really feed you creatively and emotionally and really feed your heart are really going to be amplified during this eclipse. And there's a fulfillment energy. There's an ending. Yes, sometimes there's a completion, a fulfillment, and like a lot happening in that 5th house part of your chart. Also, it is ruled by Jupiter in Cancer going through your 9th house. So some of you maybe feel more connected to your spirituality. Maybe you're wanting to make some travel plans. Maybe you're just going to be feeling this sort of opportunity expansion around teaching or on higher education, maybe wanting to like learn something new or simply broaden your horizons. There's this like really, I think, beautiful like sky's the limit kind of energy around this eclipse. Um, just make sure you get some rest too. Mars, your ruling planet, is technically in detriment, and Libra is in your 12th house of, rest. So you might just need a little bit of rest too. Just kind of keep that in mind while Mars finishes up there. It's going to get into Scorpio soon enough. Sagittarius, the full moon, my darling, is falling in your 4th house. Okay, Sagittarius rising. Okay, so you're definitely another. So, like the rest of the mutable signs, I think you're gonna be feeling this eclipse a lot. Or, just simply if you're like, what's going on? Well, there's an eclipse in your 4th house, which is an angular house, which is pretty important. So, again, since September 2024, this is sort of when the eclipse story kind of began. We had eclipses going on in September 24 in Virgo. We had some in March of this year as well in Virgo and Pisces, and we are back to more this fall. So, but the difference is, like I mentioned, I think that there's a more fortunate energy to this, to these eclipses now, and maybe there's a release, a culmination, a fulfillment, a completion, an ending happening around home and family for you. This could be the time when you finally feel ready to put your house in the market, and so that you can have something better, so that you can feel more free in your life, or perhaps you want to go on some kind of adventure, or perhaps you're ready for more space, something like that. But there's some kind of there could be like an emotional release as well as like connection to like family or family dynamics. Perhaps there is a move, perhaps there's an ending connection with home, perhaps there's news connected to one of the parents or connected to your family in general, but there's stuff happening for you in home and family. And there's going to be there's also stuff happening for you, I think, in career as well. The 10th and 4th house are pretty linked, so 10th house is it's career, but it's also public and professional, like public and professional reputation. We'll talk more about that next week. But there is some kind of change brewing, or news or announcement in connection to your home and family sphere. Also, the 4th house can be where you grew up, your roots, also ancestor energy. This, I think, can be pretty psychic energy too. Pisces is a very psychic sign. This is sort of like if you've been wanting like a dream, like a visitation from a loved one or a sign from a loved one, like who's passed on. 4th house represents like what's sort of in the ground, right? Like it can represent death. And this is sort of like, it's like, I don't know, I'm getting emotional. Like, how we never really die. We just sort of keep on, we are eternal, essentially. So there's a link, I think, to passed over family members, I think, for some of you with this eclipse, like a dream, a visitation, a sign. So put that out there if you're wanting, passed over a loved one to sort of come in and visit or have a message. I just feel like I need to say that. And because I think when I do these rising sign horoscopes, like when people do like reads, tarot readings for like the signs they're channeling, I think for a lot of people, and I think this was happening. It's like I'm looking at the astrology, yes, but sometimes I feel guided to say, something specific, and I was really getting that. Like, so changes within the family is certainly, possible, ongoing. It may not be anything new. It could just be processing sort of what's recently occurred for you. I have a Sagittarius rising friend actually who lost her grandmother really recently, and she's having this eclipse energy is sort of already playing out for her. So this eclipse is ruled by Jupiter in Cancer, that planet of growth and expansion and optimism. It's in your 8th house of inheritances, taxes, credit cards, loans, other people's money, benefits, your partner's money. There's something maybe expansive connected to this. It could be that we have the opportunity to pay down some debt, or that we receive an inheritance, or that we, are approved for like some kind of refinancing, or simply like the feeling of knowing that everything is going to be okay, even when we have traumatic loss, or when we go through hard things, because the 8th house is not an easy place. The 8th house is a place of loss and death and trauma. And it's so Jupiter here can sort of make us feel like there's an angel still kind of on our side, even when we are processing kind of more emotional things in our life, or when we're kind of going through hardship. But on a very practical, mundane level, this could be some beneficial energy connected financially, frankly. Like partner maybe makes a bit more money. Maybe wouldn't be a bad time to buy like a dollar lottery ticket or something, So I like that. So like that for you. But the eclipse and Jupiter are both in more kind of mystical, emotionally loaded places for you. So just kind of keep that in mind. And there is, I think, an emotional release with this energy. Like having a good cry is something that I kind of feel for you with this eclipse. Capricorn, the full moon eclipse is in your third house. So, you've had eclipses in your third and ninth house since September 2024. So September 24, we had an eclipse in Virgo. We had eclipses in Pisces and Virgo this March. And we're back to having these eclipses again. So there can be some kind of culmination, ending, release, fulfillment. It's in your third house. The third house represents your mind, learning information, your immediate environment, like neighbors or siblings. There could be like an announcement or news from your neighbors or siblings or local community. There could be a change, maybe a more fortunate change in your commute or how you get around. Maybe it's that you're getting a new car, a new bike, something about how you're getting around maybe is changing. There is maybe just more activity like connected to your local community. Like there's just something changing about it. It might feel more expansive and more fortunate. It could be that you're completing like a certification or something that you're learning, some kind of communications project that you're working on. Maybe you're writing something. That part of your chart is really active for you. And this could also be about travel as well, as ninth and third houses can both be about travel. It's ruled by Jupiter in your partnership sector. So something beneficial about partnerships and collaboration, merging people, your alliances are more beneficial to you right now. Perhaps someone, perhaps like a romantic relationship or platonic relationship or a business relationship just helps you out in some way, or you're feeling like more opportunities sort of coming from that part of your chart. So it does feel like a community, local community, people around you kind of eclipse that is, there's helpful energy coming from your relationships, or there's growth in your relationships, essentially. So we'll see how that plays out for you. Aquarius rising. This eclipse is falling in your second house of money, your earned income, your movable assets. And it's ruled by Jupiter and Cancer in your sixth house of health and work. So, money and resources could definitely be one of those topics that are in flux or shifting with these eclipses. Maybe you certainly felt that in March, even back in September 2024 as well. The difference is now is that Jupiter, for the most part, save for Mars here, is pretty unobstructed and able to help you out and do some good. So there could be maybe something changing in your income, but the end result is probably fortunate, essentially. Or we are more emotionally connected to how we make our money. Maybe we're feeling like there's a second income stream coming in, or perhaps one is ending, but there's a bigger stream of income coming in. Something with your money. And also second house can be like our worth and value. And with these eclipses, it's like maybe less relying on other people and more relying upon ourselves. Or not even necessarily because not even necessarily, it's like if you've always relied on like partners' money, it could be that for the past few months, it's more feeling like I allow the universe to provide me with a fat paycheck, that is more, that's more kind of from my own means and ends and less on other people, because the interplay between other people's money and their resources and your own resources is like the second, eighth house kind of dynamic. So yeah, something with money, some kind of release, culmination, fulfillment, and maybe kind of going towards something new with that as well. That is fortunate. It's ruled by Jupiter in Cancer. There's something, if you want work now, I think you're going to have a better time finding it. Perhaps you're wanting to leave a job for a better paying one, or one that has better benefits or better energy, because Jupiter is helping to bring some growth, optimism, some helpful opportunities in the sixth house, which is work, which is your daily grind. It also could be that you're that really feeding your body with good things, paying good attention to your health, doing what you can to support your health may pay off for you right now as well. Because sixth house is health. Maybe it's also pets too. There could be like just some fortunate kind of lovely energy with animals and pets and sort of helping people in wellness that kind of comes in with this eclipse for you. Pisces rising. So obviously the big star of this eclipse, along with Virgo. This is like time to release just all the bullshit in your life. Like, this is a big emotional release culmination period. Change is coming for you. Like, you can either initiate it and embrace it, or you can resist and resist and resist and resist and like cry and cry and cry about it before you just sort of give in. There is something about releasing and surrendering that I want you to do with this eclipse. Surrender to your feelings, surrender to your intuition. I was talking to Pisces rising this morning. He's like, I feel like my time here is just up, but I want to do this, but I'm scared. And I'm like, baby, I'm not going to astrologize you right now, but I'm telling you, like, you're a Pisces rising. It's time to embrace change. So you're really like, that old adage of releasing what no longer serves you is very apt this eclipse. There is a chapter that is ending. There's like new beginnings for you, but first of all, you have to like release what is in the way, or so there's an ending, but there's also fortunate new things too. It's in your first house of self, identity, your physical body, your personal energy, how you approach life. It's very, very personal. You could be feeling more in touch with your physical body, or something like physical body health. Maybe something has to change there. Saturn did come back to Pisces for a few months until February. So it's like, I want you to embrace the opportunities the universe is kind of presenting for you, or, like when you leap right now, you're going to land safely. It's going to be okay. You're going to land on your feet, but you can't do the same patterns. You cannot do the same things that lead to the same result, because Saturn will be smacking you on the hand. Like, hey, guess what? That third drink, we've been telling ourselves we're not going to have a third drink tonight, or whatever it is. We're not going to. It's like those patterns of escapism that can be associated with Pisces. You want to watch out for those with Saturn, because it's like there are these fortunate opportunities kind of coming your way if you would only say yes and embrace them and go toward them. And repeating the same cycles and patterns is not going to be helpful to you. That's that reminder of Saturn kind of going through there. There's still some final lessons kind of to be learned here, but a really tremendous opportunity for growth, healing, expansion, opportunity. And also, especially if you are embracing your passions, embracing creativity, there can be, frankly, I've been saying Pisces risings are pretty fertile right now, whether that is with creative projects, with romance, and also with children, because Jupiter is moving through your fifth house of children and pregnancy right now. But it can also just be a very creative time. It's sort of like, you really want to kind of focus on what makes you happy, what makes your heart sing right now, and really kind of lean into that. Jupiter is your planetary ruler. So, this is time to embrace your creative projects, your heart's desire to fall deeply in love with someone or something that makes your heart smile, right now. And kind of get out of your own way if you're in your own way. And also keep in mind too, this could partially be about relationships because Virgo is activated for you as well. Virgo is your 7th house of partnerships. The sun's moving through Virgo right now. We'll talk more about that during solar eclipse week, but just know this is a time to release, surrender, and kind of really tap into your heart's desire right now. Like, you know, I'm not hyperfixate. It's like I just kind of want you to really harness that energy, harness the good, positive things in your life, and kind of ignore the negative right now. So, that's what we got. I hope that was helpful to you. I feel like I kind of rambled, but I kind of ramble a little bit always. So, happy lunar eclipse. May you release and surrender what no longer serves with this eclipse. May you embrace opportunity and where your heart is calling you. And if you need extra support right now, if you're needing some clarity on making decisions or just clarity in your life, remember that eclipse reading I offered, as well as just booking a session with me in general. You can find that in the notes below. You can check me out at docstaroracle.com. Make sure that you like, subscribe, turn on all the notifications, etc. And I'll be back next week. Wish me luck on my move, y'all. I'll talk to you soon.